So I've popped over here to do a consultation and service on this aquarium. And one thing that I hear all the time is people talking about how long they cycle their tanks for. But basically, if you cycle your tank, then you cycled your tank. So some people will say, oh, my tank's been cycled for 6 months, or my tank's been cycled for a year. And basically, it doesn't really make any difference how long the tank's been cycled for, because once the tank is cycled, then the tank is cycled. Now, what we mean by cycled is you set the tank up and then you're going to have an amount of organics present, whether it be from your natural seawater, whether it be from any nutrients in your rock or sand or whatever, and then you're going to get good bacteria that starts to establish. You're going to form bacteria that breaks ammonia into nitrite, bacteria that breaks nitrite into nitrate. And then, so basically, if you test your water and your water's right, and you've not added anything new to the tank, then the tank is cycled. So regardless of how long you wait after it's cycled, biologically, the tank isn't going to do anything until you add more stock, because the balance of bacteria is going to be governed by the amount of nutrients in the tank. So if you go for a year and not put any fish in the tank, as such as we have here, then nothing's going to happen for a year, because there's no food source in order to allow the growth of good bacteria. Now, the other thing that I'm getting smashed with in the industry at the moment is all these live bacteria products that people are using. Now, if you know a lot about what you're doing and you're going to get a big load of fish that you expect, then live bacteria products are really great, because you can use them to prepare the tank to accept a large amount of fish. Now, that's the purpose of these products. But what people do is they go and get these live bacteria products, they put them in the tank, which basically gives them capacity bacteria. Then they don't get any fish, or they just get 2 fish. So then what happens is that capacity bacteria dies off to the capacity of the 2 fish. The other thing that people do is they buy these live bacteria products and they don't keep them in the fridge once they open it, kill it anyway, chuck it in, that puts ammonia in, and that just gives you a false start, which might delay you weeks or months. So I believe the best way to cycle a tank is the old way. If you're going to overpopulate the tank, then using some of these new tricks, I highly condone. But that's for someone that knows what they're doing, not for a beginner. If you're a beginner, it is my advice to do it the old school and do it. Don't try to cut corners, because it's basically just 1 step forward to have 10 steps back most of the time. So basically what I'd want to do with a tank like this is I'd want to set it up. I'd want to get the temperature stable. I want to get the salinity stable, generally low in a new tank. Then I would want to add some live rock. Then I will let the tank cycle. Let's call that a month. After a month, it's cycled. There's no more ammonia or nitrite in the water, so therefore it's cycled. You might get a bit of nitrate, maybe do a water change. It's now cycled. It's not going to do anything else until you add something else. So basically, if you're not going to have live rock, and I am a live rock guy, I definitely want live rock. Even if I want dead rock, I still put some live rock in, because I want all of the microorganisms from the live rock that is not afforded through the dead rock. And the parallel denitrification, internal structure, and everything of the dead rock, it's never as good as live rock, in my opinion. So I would rather go live rock, and if I go dead rock, that's okay, just add a little bit of live rock. So I put a little bit of live rock in, that'll do my cycle. My cycle means my ammonia and nitrite has stabilized. Got a shaky hand today for some reason. Then my ammonia and nitrite's gone down. Then I start getting a bit of nitrate. I'll try my other hand this time. After my nitrate, then the tank is cycled. Then I will want to add a little bit of fish, just some tough fish like clownfish or something. I chuck a little bit in, then I'll wait for a full month. Absolutely not add any new fish for a month. Then I'll chuck a little bit more fish in, then I'll wait for a full month. Now during that time I can put corals in, but they don't make too much difference. Whatever you're feeding makes the difference. So put a little bit of fish in, produce that much waste, then you're going to grow that much bacteria. Then next month you put a bit more fish in, that produces a little bit more waste, then you're going to grow a little bit more bacteria. And the waste has to go up as the bacteria goes up. There's no other way of doing it. You've got to stabilize the bacteria. So there's plenty of bacteria enhancing products that are great to use, whether it be cycle, stability, any of that other stuff. And just don't go crazy with a little bit of it, fine. But I just like to do everything slow, do everything stable. And once again, my 2 big rules for adding new fish is make sure under no circumstance do I add a fish for 1 month. I put a couple of fish in, wait a month, everything's okay. Put another couple in, wait a month, everything's okay. Now you're going to get white spot for 2 main reasons besides crap fish. If you buy crap fish, you're going to get white spot. But if you get a good fish, you're either going to get white spot because you put the fish into high salinity. So you want to put the fish in when the salinity is low. That's why a quarantine tank is so valuable, because you can do that in the quarantine tank. But for a new tank like this, if you just keep the salinity low, 0.020, introduce the fish, wait a month, then put a little bit more in, wait a month, but when the fish go in, the salt level has to be down. Then if you're going to have live coral in the tank, that's okay. You can drop the salinity, but then you've got to slowly raise it up a degree a day until you get back to 0.024. But what you don't want to do is put the fish straight into high salinity. Because if you put the fish into 0.024, 0.025, the problem is that the ocean, so let's call it 0.024, 0.025, then the collectors catch those fish, throw them straight into like 1.7, 1.6. And that's because low salinity creates low osmotic pressure, and the immune system gets a big boost because the osmoregulation system, which balances the salt, is not working very well, not working so much, and the parasites hate it. But then if you go up in salinity, suddenly the osmoregulation system of the fish has to work really hard, because the salinity of a fish is about half seawater. So if you kept them in half salt, then they don't need to use their osmoregulation system much. They're actually tougher. If you put them in full salt, they've got to use their osmoregulation system, which is one of the most energy taxing systems in their body. Now they can use the energy for their immune system, which can help to stop pathogens, white spot, and so forth. So put the fish in a high salt, get ready for white spot. Then if you wait a full month, your chance of white spot is low. Things like UV sterilizers help. Using a quarantine tank helps. Make sure fish aren't beating each other up and are not stressed helps. Make sure you're feeding good food, that helps. But ultimately, if you see anything wrong with your tank, if something goes wrong, then you start your month again. So if you get a little bit of white spot, one of the fish is flicking or scratching, or you're worried about your fish, then you just start your month again. So I need a full month where you're happy with the tank, then you can get more fish. If you see white spot or whatever, you got to wait at least a full month. If you see white spot, you're really better off waiting 6 or 8 weeks. So patience is the key when adding new fish. But once again, once a tank is cycled, the tank is cycled.